What is going on, everyone? It's Joe with Line 'em Up, and the Fantasy Football 2021 season is finally here. And if you're like me, you've been waiting for this moment since last season ended, and now drafts are starting to be scheduled, and things are really starting to heat up. In this video, I'm going to be going over our must-have late-round wide receivers that are currently going in the 10th round or even later. Let's get right into it. The first wide receiver I want to talk about is wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, Mecole Hardman. In 2020, Mecole Hardman had 41 receptions, producing 560 yards on just 62 targets with 4 touchdowns. He was also utilized in the rushing game, producing 31 rushing yards on just 4 attempts. I really like him this season because Sammy Watkins is out of the picture, which means he can finally be that wide receiver number 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2020, Sammy Watkins had 55 targets. If he got 20 of those targets, which is very possible, he will be a great value in your drafts. So I really like Mecole Hardman this season. The second wide receiver I want to talk about is wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, Cole Beasley. In 2020, Cole Beasley had 82 receptions, producing 967 yards on 107 targets with 4 touchdowns. A lot of this production came when John Brown was out of the lineup due to injury, which he missed a total of 7 games last season. He missed weeks 5, 7, and 12 through 16. With John Brown on a different team now, I believe Cole Beasley will see an uptick in targets, if not be able to maintain the same kind of production that he saw last season when John Brown was out of the lineup. Before we get to our next wide receiver, if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you know when new videos like this go live. It helps us out a ton and we really appreciate your support. The next wide receiver I want to talk about is wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Marvin Jones Jr. Over the offseason, the Jacksonville Jaguars acquired free agent Marvin Jones Jr., signing him to a 2-year deal. The former Detroit Lion in 2020 had 76 receptions, producing 978 yards on 115 targets and 9 touchdowns. Marvin Jones in the past has shown wide receiver number 1 potential, and heading to a team where there isn't an established number 1, I believe he can be that guy. If you saw preseason at all, it seems that him and Trevor Lawrence already have a connection going, and if they can carry that into the season, I believe that he could be a league-winning pick, getting him in the 10th round or even later. So don't sleep on Marvin Jones. And the last wide receiver I want to talk about is wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, Russell Gage. In 2020, Russell Gage had 72 receptions, producing 786 yards on 109 targets and 4 touchdowns. Now, a lot of the production came when Julio Jones was off the field and he missed a total of 7 games last season. Now Julio Jones is not with the team anymore, which means there's a ton of targets to go around, and I believe Russell Gage is going to be one of the few players that benefit from this. Now, I know the Atlanta Falcons went out and drafted tight end Kyle Pitts, and I expect him to be heavily involved in the offense, but I believe Russell Gage will still benefit from this. So he's basically going undrafted. He could be one of those players that you draft and keep on your bench and feel it out a couple weeks and see how they're going to use him, and if they end up not using him like we think, then you could just easily drop him and pick someone else up or whatever. So I really like Russell Gage this season and his potential. And that's going to do it for us today. Football is finally back. Let's win some fantasy football championships this season, and as always, don't forget, line them up.